Hey, everybody, this is Alex for an emergency podcast episode of Sports the Nemo Way, where we wanted to have a Super Bowl preview episode, but then this Matthew Stafford to the Rams trade, I guess Jared Goff went to Detroit as well, happened, and we're like, you know what, we're going to do an emergency episode and a Super Bowl preview all wrapped up in one. So we're going to get started here, but before we do that, we have a guest for the first time in one of our episodes. We've brought in Bob to be a guest on our episode because he actually likes Tom Brady, unlike everybody else in this room. So we thought it would bring some fairness to the Bucks and Brady talk. But now that being said, I'm going to kick it over to our Rams fan to see what he thinks about the Rams bringing in Matthew Stafford. Uncle Doug?
I am thrilled that we brought in Matthew Stafford. I think we've got a great coach in LA. I really like Sean McVay. Great defense, but we just really couldn't rely on Jared Goff to get the job done. We had the weapons, and at times he played well, but you couldn't count on it. Once the opposing coaches figured out that if they didn't set their defense until after McVay could talk to him in his helmet, he had a hard time reading the defense. And Belichick figured that out in the Super Bowl, and we scored, 3 points or something? And the offense has gone downhill since.
Well, what do you think of giving up the 2 firsts and a third, along with Jared Goff?
Well, we did have to give up a lot. The third-round pick is probably going to be one of the compensatory picks that we have. We got one for the Lions signing their new GM who came from the Rams. So we're kind of giving that back. I figure it's 1 first-round pick for Stafford, which I think is what most teams were offering. And the second first-round pick is for taking Goff's contract, which has 3 or 4 years and at least 110, maybe $130 million left on it. And over 100 of that's guaranteed. So that definitely helps our cap space. We still got Stafford still signed for 2 years. So that gives him a couple years where we still got Aaron Donald and Ramsey and everybody under contract.
Well, I will say that the NFL's cap and how you trade players and cut players and still end up with half their contract on your books is really confusing. But the way I understand it is that the Rams are still responsible for Jared Goff's bonuses.
Signing bonuses.
Yeah, signing bonuses. Thank you. So I think this year it's like $15 million.
Right. Yeah. I think you're right. I think the signing bonus we probably still are responsible for.
But I do believe there's part of Stafford's contract that the Lions are still responsible for. So I think you don't come out completely backwards and all that. But honestly, I don't. Maybe it's me being unprepared, but looking at the contract situations with trades in the NFL is mind-boggling to me sometimes. But that being said, I thought personally that y'all gave up a decent amount, but we've seen teams give up multiple first-round picks for guys like Jalen Ramsey, a corner, and Khalil Mack, a pass rusher. So giving up 2 first-rounders for a quarterback, I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. That being said, I mean, my next question, I guess, is the last time the Rams had a first-round pick was 2016, and they don't have another one again until 2024.
Right.
How do you continue to build a team without first-round draft picks?
You've got to hit free agency, and you've got to hit on your second and third rounders. I mean, you just have to.
They have a couple times.
It's a gamble.
Akers was a rookie this year, correct?
Right.
He was really good.
He was second round.
They got him in second round. They did decent. They got a couple linebackers too.
And a couple of our linemen, I think, maybe have come that way too.
Something kind of funny I was thinking about the other day. Just like 2 years ago, the Rams paid Goff, Gurley, and Cook, who are all gone. And I know they're at least still paying 2 of them, maybe 3. So they're still paying Gurley a little bit for this year and maybe next year. And they're still paying Goff. I don't even know where Cooks went to. Pretty good.
Houston, I believe.
Houston, yeah.
I don't know if they're still paying him, but they might be.
Well, they cut Gurley before his contract kicked in. His contract hadn't even started when they cut him.
They owe him some certain amount of money for the next like 2 or 3 years or something.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't have a Lions fan here. We do have a Bears fan in Drew, so a division rival. What did you think, looking at your division rival, the Lions, about with this trade?
Well, as a Bears fan, it's pretty good for us. We replace Matthew Stafford with Jared Goff. If you put Jared Goff on the Lions, well, I think he's going to do a lot worse without Sean McVay telling him where to throw the ball.
So you don't think he's going to bite your kneecap off?
No.
Dan
I don't
Campbell.
believe so.
What do they call him? Motor City Dan Campbell. MCDC.
So you like the fact that now you have to face Jared Goff twice a year?
Yeah, I feel really confident in both those games. I mean, I already felt pretty confident playing the Lions, but without Matthew Stafford, I feel even better.
Fair enough. Ray, do you have any strong feelings either way about either team? I know you're a Colts fan, not a...
I mean, no, not really strong feelings. I mean, would I like to have been on the Colts? I mean, yeah. But I don't care either way now because he's not my way now. So he can go, down the road.
Well, interestingly enough, we have two Colts fans here with Wade and Ray. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. The Colts end up with, not Jared Goff, excuse me, Matthew Stafford. What happened?
Everything I heard, it was us, 49ers, the Redskins, and maybe the Broncos. We're going to go really hard after him. But everything I've heard since the trade happened was the Rams were the only one that were going to throw in 2 first-round picks. So everyone else, like Chris Ballard's not going to do that. He loves his draft picks. I think he's only, he's done 1 trade since he's been our GM, really. And that was for DeForest Buckner last year, which was a great trade for us. But, I don't think anyone really wanted to give up multiple first-round picks. But the Rams are in their Super Bowl window, so it kind of made sense for them. They're loaded right now. They have a top 5 defense. 3 good wide receivers, maybe 4. Cup, Jefferson, Reynolds,
Woods.
You have
Yeah.
2 decent tight ends, I think.
Yeah, Higby and Everett.
2 good running backs. Now you have Matthew Stafford. It made sense for the Rams, I thought.
Well, I thought the Rams had a Super Bowl defense this year.
Yeah.
If they can return that defense, maybe not even exactly as good, but similar, and then add a competent offense, it could be a contender for sure.
Anytime you have the best corner in the league and the best defensive lineman in the league, you're going to wreck some havoc on defense. Both those guys are unstoppable. Ramsey and Donald.
Fair enough. So obviously, I mentioned earlier that we brought Bob in, and he's a Patriots fan. I'm staring at this lousy Patriots jersey across from me. So I ask you, did your Patriots ruin Jared Goff?
Maybe.
Yeah. He hasn't been close to the same since.
Right, set the pattern, and everybody followed. It's a copycat league.
Well, I guess the real question is the reports came out from Schefter after the trade that Stafford told the Lions he would accept a trade to every team in the league except New England. How do you feel about that?
I mean, Bill Belichick, he's an acquired taste for some players.
So,
If you don't want to come there, that's fine. Whatever.
but you all do need a quarterback.
I guess.
I mean, you don't want another year of Cam Newton, right?
Not like much. Not if it's indication.
I'm not even trying to bash on Cam Newton. I really think Cam Newton's career is over. I think his body has failed him.
I don't think he can throw. Like, his shoulder can't make throws. He can still run. He had like 12 rushing touchdowns this year, but he only threw for like 5. Like literally, it was something that low. Yeah, like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it was not a great year. Although I think it was like the first 3 weeks, y'all went like 2-1,
Yeah.
and y'all were running pretty much the option
Yeah.
with him, and it was really successful. And then he got COVID, and when he came back, his run game wasn't the same. I just don't think I agree with Wade. I don't think his arm was ever going to be what it needed to be for y'all to just drop back and pass. It looked like for him to throw like 15, 20 yards down the field, it looked like he was like trying to throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, like putting everything into it.
Like,
Right.
like everything he had, throw it.
Well, most of his throws ended up in the dirt. To be honest.
It was not a good year, and I realize you guys don't have a lot of weapons or whatever, but there was clearly some issues with Cam. I don't.
See, what really hurt him was one, like you said, they have almost no weapons. They have old Julian Edelman, sorry, but
Julian,
yeah, I botched that one. But
But
they were doing good together before Julian got hurt. So that was Cam's go-to guy, and then he got hurt, and then he got COVID, and just a downhill spiral.
well, in fairness to the Patriots too, they had a lot of guys opt out.
Oh, yeah.
I think they said
Um,
7 starters
Right?
opted
Yeah.
out.
I mean, they lost a lot that
Most of
opted
them were on
out.
defense.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Patrick.
What did one of the twins opt out? Defensive backs? Yeah, maybe I can't remember.
I can't remember now.
There was some. I can't remember off the top of my head either, but there were some big names from y'all's defense that were
Yeah.
just gone. I
Van
think,
Noy left. He went to Miami.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then didn't one of your tight ends also opt out? Like, didn't you have a decent tight end that opted out?
I can't remember his name now. But he opted out.
Yeah. So you guys ended up what 7-9.
Yeah.
So it's not like you had an awful season. You missing all these starters and terrible quarterback play. I think the narrative of man, look how terrible Belichick is without Brady got a little out of hand.
Yeah.
He,
Oh, yeah,
he,
definitely.
he won 7 games with like a Jets roster or a Jaguars roster.
Right.
He won like 2 in 1 game, to be honest. Because he still had him playing good defense, to be honest. Their
Yeah,
offense
they're-
was still terrible.
Our defense was awful, but the
Definitely.
offense couldn't put any points up to help the defense out.
Yeah.
So I'll lead into this with the Patriots situation. Talking about quarterbacks, do you think Stafford's "I don't want to go to New England" had to do with Matt Patricia coming back to New England, or do you think Brady's kind of put it out there to the league like, "Hey, this is what you got to deal with if you go to New England," and he didn't want to deal with that?
Probably a combination of both. Would be my guess. I mean, because I guess there are high expectations there that you're going to do the Patriot way or it's the highway.
Very fair.
Yeah, I mean, Brady can chirp all he wants, but I mean, he won 6 Super Bowls there. So, probably if you like
Yeah.
him or not. We'll get into later.
Yeah.
He can badmouth Belichick all he wants, but Belichick's proven he's a defensive genius. You're going to have to play with a good defense. He won 6 Super Bowls.
Very true, unfortunately.
Matt Patricia is awful too, as a coach. Lots of players that come out bashing.
Well, as a Eagles fan, I don't know if I've said that on the air yet. I have Darius Slay on my team, and every opportunity he gets, he bashes Matt Patricia.
Did you see that the big interview he had, or some of the stuff Matt Patricia did to him, like in the film room and stuff?
I'm not 100% sure. No.
He went on like First Take or something, and I don't remember the exact stuff. I have to rewatch it. But he was trying. I think he was trying to set the tone, kind of like how like some coaches in sports, like how Popovich used to call out Duncan or Belichick would yell at Brady. But I think he did it repeatedly over and over and over, and kept putting down your all's corner Slay and like Stafford and people like that. And he got really personal with Slay, and he said some really inappropriate stuff to him in the middle of the film room. I don't remember the exact words what he said. It was really inappropriate, and Darius Slay said he has like no respect for him as a man anymore, and pretty much just hated him after that. And this was like early on, like I guess.
I have heard him say he has no respect for him as a man.
It's like word for word what he said.
And Darius Slay actually came out right after this trade and bashed Detroit, the organization, not the city, about how Detroit ruins careers. And he brought up Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson and said, pretty much like, I think it was something along the lines of, at least Matthew got out,
Yeah, not anymore with MCDC there. Mad City, Dan Campbell. That's a shout out to Pat McAfee show. That's what they call him, MCDC.
I don't know what to think about him, to be honest with you. Like, I thought the press conference was funny. A lot of people just thought it was like awful and like this guy's crazy or whatever. I didn't think it was like Gase last year where he looked like he was coked out or something. Like,
He's just intense, ready to go. With an organization like that, it's been that bad for that long and ruined that many careers. You have to set a culture. is what he's trying to do.
100%. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit different direction with it here just for a second because I actually have a big problem with the Rams, and it's that every time I turn around, they reset the trade market. They're like, "Hey, the going rate for a corner is 2 seconds," and they're like, "Hey, here's 2 firsts." Now the going rate for a corner is 2 firsts, and now we're giving 3 draft picks for a quarterback, and I'm leaving one out. Y'all made there's a third trade here. I looked it up before I came, and now I'm blanking out.
Is it the Marcus Peters trade, the other corner?
It might have been. It might have been
Then
the
we shipped him off with the
Yeah.
defense.
It just seems like every time I turn around, the Rams are like, "What's everybody willing to give?" Well, we'll double. Like, don't just add another little thing here to like beat everybody. It's shoot the crap out of the what everybody's willing to offer, and now next time somebody comes up for a trade, it's like, well, they gave up 2 firsts for Ramsey, so I want at least that.
They also kind of reset the market, paying running backs with Gurley. And that didn't work out.
There we go.
Then we got, well, you all did it too. With Goff and Wentz, they both got paid giant money, and different reasons, but they both had really, really bad years. Goff's had a couple bad years after. When did he get paid, this year or last year?
Well, I think his contract started this year, but they signed him 2 years ago, right?
Right, yeah. It was an extension that kicked in.
Yeah.
He's under contract through 24, I think.
Like I said earlier, they paid Brandon Cooks giant money. He's just a one-dimensional wide receiver. He's good, but
So I guess my question to you, Uncle Doug, is why do you all keep doing that?
I think part of it is because of the move to LA. They knew when they got to LA they had to make a splash. Because if you don't make a splash in LA, nobody comes. They're building a brand new stadium, and Kroenke wants a lot of people there. COVID took care of that this year. But so I think they made some. I mean, they overstepped with Gurley, definitely. The Marcus Peters deal, they probably should have looked at him a little. I mean, not that he's not a good corner. He's doing great in Baltimore. He didn't fit the system they wanted to run, whereas Jalen Ramsey does. He should have made that deal first and then saved the other. But, yeah, and they definitely jumped in and paid Goff way too early, in my opinion. And luckily, we're kind of getting out of it. It's still costing us draft picks, but
kind of hitting on the LA thing. Now there's 2 football teams in LA. If you're not entertaining, you can be like the 6th most important team in LA. You have the Lakers, Clippers, Dodgers, USC Trojans, Rams, Chargers,
UCLA.
The
They fall
Angels,
behind. The Angels. I mean, they're falling behind.
the
because
Kings are good in hockey most seasons.
I mean, that's my point. Like, if you're a crappy football team, no one's going to come watch you. The Chargers right now. No
Right,
one watches
yeah.
the Chargers.
Well, yeah, when the Chargers first came to LA, they couldn't even fill that soccer stadium.
Yeah, which
You know.
barely held anybody.
Right.
Yeah, I remember everybody making fun of them that the Chargers played every game away because there was more fans from the other teams in
Exactly.
the LA stadium than there were Chargers fans.
Chargers should have stayed in San Diego.
I agree, and I still slip up and say San Diego Chargers
Yeah.
half the time. So, I mean, although I still say Oakland Raiders too. So, I mean, I'm sure if we talk about this long enough, I'll slip up and say one of those things. No, I noticed that, and like every time you guys do something like that, I wince. This one didn't bother me as much. The Ramsey one did, because like obviously Ramsey's one of, if not the best corner in the league. But not too far down that list is Darius Slay. He's one of the top 5 corners in the league, and we gave up a first and a third for him, and then it was like 2 firsts. I was just like, he's not a quarterback. So I guess my question is, what does this do to Watson's market?
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day too when I saw this, because the people that want Watson, well, they're going to be looking at this trade now, going,
Like, realistically, say, like, the Jets, say that they have a lot of stuff they can throw at him. Like, someone who's in his prime is, like, what, 25, 26?
Watson, you mean?
Yeah.
I think he's 26.
He's one of the top,
Think.
one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, probably. You're going to, 4 first-rounders, maybe some other crap. Like,
Okay, so yes, I agree. Like logically, now you're looking at like 4 firsts, which is insane. But then my thing is, the top teams on his list, is what have been reported anyway, are teams that aren't very good. So if you trade for Deshaun Watson and put him on your team that's not very good, and trade away all your first round draft picks, can you put enough around him to contend?
Outside of Miami, I agree with you. Miami's high on
Yes,
the list.
Miami is very good. You're right on that. Miami is very good. But like the Jets, they said the Jets are the number one choice on his list, and I'm like, the Jets are an awful, awful roster. If you gave up 4 firsts for Deshaun Watson and you have an awful roster, what's the difference between playing there and Houston?
I thought the Texans won the trade with the Jets because they had the most to offer. I haven't heard the Deshaun Watson part. He has a no trade clause. He can deny who he wants.
Yes, he does have a no trade
But
clause.
I thought the Texans want to trade with the Jets because they can throw a crap ton of draft picks at him. The number 2 pick overall this year, plus a bunch of future picks. I mean, Deshaun might have said that. I might have just missed it. But I know the Texans really want to trade with the Jets.
Well, if I was the Texans, I'd want to talk to Miami, even though he would probably make Miami a Super Bowl contender. But Miami has 2 firsts this year and next year. Like they have the number 3 or 4 pick this year because they have the Texans pick.
That's number 3.
Yeah.
And Tua.
Yeah, and Tua, right? Exactly.
I mean, if I was Houston, well, if I'm Deshaun, I want to go to Miami. You know,
For
and-
a multitude of reasons.
Right.
They have a good roster. They seem to have a really good coach. It's Miami of all. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to go play
Florida
in Miami.
has no income tax.
That's also true. He goes from one non-income tax state to another, in
Right.
Texas to Florida, so it's not like he's losing money in that. Plus, Houston ought to be able to recoup picks and maybe bring back a young quarterback. Although, I mean, not everybody agrees with me, but I think Sam Darnold is a quality quarterback. He's
I
just
think
playing on a
so.
terrible, terrible
I
roster.
would like him in Indianapolis at this point. Matthew Stafford off the board.
I think that'd be a great pickup for you
I do
guys.
too. I think Darnold would be great for the Colts.
But before we go too sideways on the quarterback carousel, because this could go very, very long into the night, shall we talk Super Bowl?
Go for it.
All right. Well, this is mainly why Bob is here, because everybody in this room hates Tom Brady. So we didn't want to be.
He took over from my boy Bledsoe, so just won 6 Super Bowls for the Patriots. All right.
Well, we didn't want this episode to be too lopsided in the Brady hate. So we wanted to bring at least a Patriots fan in to kind of even us out a little bit. So I guess before we get too much into the talk, why don't we go around the room and give our Super Bowl prediction? Uncle Doug, you can start.
I think it's going to be the Chiefs. I think it'll be close, but I think the Chiefs will get it.
Ray?
I think it'd probably be the Buccaneers.
Ooh, all right. Drew?
It's definitely going to be the Chiefs. I hate to say it, but it's going to be the Chiefs.
I want
Bob?
to say the Chiefs, but Tom Brady finds a way to win regardless.
Wade?
I'm going to go Chiefs 31-28.
Ooh,
We got the
close.
score.
And Pacifics.
Well, I'm also going with the Chiefs, but I will say this. If the Chiefs are winning at halftime, I'm going to be scared out of my mind.
Yeah. That's a bad sign.
What was the score at halftime at the Lions?
They were up like 24.
28-3? Is that correct?
25, something like
28-3?
that. 24, 25.
Yeah.
Me and Bob watched that Super Bowl together.
I mean, essentially, it's who was up by how much at every halftime of every Patriots Super Bowl they won.
I think they were pretty
The Rams
good.
were winning at halftime.
Yes, we
The
were.
Eagles were winning at halftime.
Seahawks.
The
second
Seahawks.
Panthers
The
winning.
Panthers were winning at halftime. Not only were they winning at halftime, we were like breaking records for offense in the first half of that game. Like T.O. went for like 200 yards in the first half, and then all of a sudden forgot how to play football in the second half or something.
On a broken leg, too.
Yeah, on a broken leg. Anyway, before I get too much into the Patriots cheat, I'm going to digress there a little bit. But so we got just one Bucks pick. Is that correct, Ray? You the only ones?
Bob
Oh,
said
Bob. I'm
Bucks.
sorry, Bob and Ray. So why you guys feel like the Bucks are the pick?
Tom Brady knows how to win. I mean, I'd really like to see him lose. Kind of like pass the torch to Mahomes, because I think Mahomes is going to be like the next Super Bowl quarterback that's going to be in 50% of the Super Bowl since he's been drafted, like Brady.
Right?
Brady's just been tested for like the last 20 years. He knows how to get there. If it's deflating balls or whatever he's got to do, he knows how to win the title. So I mean, you can't count him out whatever he's doing.
So am I hearing this right? Are you saying that you think Arians and the Buccaneers have bought in to do whatever it takes?
I think maybe Brady has taught him a few things. He's like, hey, Bruce, let me show you my playbook.
Which is the other team's playbook.
Well, it did come out last week. Bruce says he does let Tom just coach sometimes in practice.
He does. And it was a coaching tutorial on how to catch deflated balls.
Gronk's a pro at it.
And then he's like, hey, Bruce, here's how to pilot a drone for dummies.
On a serious note, the Buccaneers do have a really good defense, and the Chiefs just lost their left tackle to a torn Achilles, and the Buccaneers' defensive line is very good.
Well, you're only half right there. They lost their left tackle, and their right tackle was already out.
Oh, okay.
So they've lost both their starting tackles, and I believe one of their guards. Because Wisniewski is now starting at guard again.
Someone that can maybe is fast enough to cover Kelsey that's not a cornerback is that Bush from the Buccaneers. He runs like a 4-4. He's insane.
I really like Fred Warner from San Francisco and Leonard from the Colts, but this kid in Tampa Bay is on their level. He's really, really good.
Well, Levante Davis is just as good. That's crazy.
Yeah, Levante Davis has been a beast for years.
They play right next to each other. They both run like 4-4, 4-5s. Like they can fly. And I mean, Kelsey's not exactly a burner. He's just smart and big and catches everything. But Bush can keep up with him for sure.
I guess here's my thing. I believe the Chiefs are better than the Bucks. I wouldn't. It's not like I'm like, oh, it's easily a blowout. No way. Not like that. I don't think the Bucks stand a chance, but I do think the Chiefs are better. That being said, there's a lot going on here. Like you said, the injuries to the Chiefs' offensive line, that being coupled with Mahomes apparently having a foot injury, so who knows if he can run around as well. They said something about his toe. They said he's wearing one shoe bigger than the other right now because he has to wear some type of something on his foot to help him with it. And then their defense isn't overly stellar to begin with. But I also don't believe that Brady can go out and throw 3 picks in the second half, and Mahomes won't take advantage of that. Although I was surprised Rodgers didn't take advantage of it. So who knows?
Well, the Buccaneers held them to 3 outs on 2 of the 3 turnovers. So,
Yeah.
their defense is good. And the Chiefs' defense, they're not bad, but they're not great. They're kind of built. They're built to play from ahead. You got Jones and Clark that can rush the passer, and they got Matthew. They're kind of built like Peyton's old Colts. You had Bob Sanders, Freeney, and Mathis. They have Jones, Clark, Matthew. That they're built to play with the lead, and that's what they're good at. But if you get behind, they can struggle. You can run on them a little bit, control the clock, stuff like that.
Which the Buccaneers have shown they're going to do every game all year long, not just in the playoffs. They have stuck with the run game.
They run and then they launch it down the field.
Yes. They been riding Ronald Jones all year, and then Fournette has been not playing, and then playoff time rolls around, and they're like, oh, here's Fournette, crush, and you're just like, where was this all year? Like, was this a plan? Like, literally, we're not going to play you all year until playoffs? Like, wow.
The brick is huge.
He is. And then they spell him with Ronald Jones, the guy that had like 1,300 rushing yards this year. And you're like, there's just no break. And this, like you said, it's not like the Chiefs' run defense is awesome.
Pretty much just got to get past Jones in the middle. You can run on him.
It's an interesting thing to look at just because I have complete and total faith in the Chiefs' offense just because history says they're awesome. And they do ridiculous things like against Deshaun Watson, somebody we just talked about. Last year in the playoffs, we're down 24 points and came back and won by like 20.
They scored like 50-some points that game.
It was ridiculous.
That was kind of their playoffs last year. Let's see how long we can let them be ahead, and we'll kick it in high gear.
That's what also worries a lot of people. Is they mess around. Instead of coming out of the gate and slaughtering you, they mess around. I mean, they almost lost Super Bowl because of it. If Jimmy G hits that long pass, they lose.
They don't want to do that with Brady though, because
No.
he's smart enough that he's like, "Oh, we're ahead here. We'll just run the ball down your throat."
Yeah.
A couple dump passes here and there.
It's a fair point. I mean, he's definitely better than Jimmy G.
Well, not only that, but last week, even as bad as was it last week or the week before? I can't remember which. But where Tyrann Mathieu came up with a big interception.
Who did they play last week?
Well, they played the Bills last week.
They beat the Bills.
They beat the Bills pretty handily.
Private
So.
I think it was the Browns game. He got intercepted.
Yeah, well, because Mahomes got knocked out, and Henne was in, and the Browns had come back and made it a real game, and then Matthew comes up and makes a big interception and kind of seals the game for him, and you're sitting there like, wow, that was crazy good, but at the same time, they seem to do this all the time, like especially with Tyrann Mathieu. He seems to be the guy that does it for him more often than not.
But if that guy doesn't fumble in the back of the end zone, the Browns win, don't they? Or they just tie it.
They lost by 5,
Yeah,
and
win.
that would have been a touchdown, but that was earlier in the game, so who knows what happens the rest of the
True,
game.
but you get my point. Like,
But yeah,
that's a freak thing. Like
They
if he
also-
doesn't fumble out of the end zone. it's a
They
touchdown.
also didn't call the targeting on that play.
Oh, with Sorensen. Yeah.
I think the Browns. It seemed like they got away from like their normal.
Yeah. They didn't run the ball.
They were run. And all of a sudden, Baker's out there throwing the ball like he's Mahomes. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's true. They didn't run the ball hardly at all in the first half, and they got I think Chubb or Hunt got one in the second half.
well that
Chubb,
was
I think, two or three in the second half.
that was really a big surprise to me because the week before when the Browns kicked the Steelers' teeth in, it was with a substitute coach, and he just really ran it down Pittsburgh's throat all game. What they've been doing all year, and you're like, oh, okay, this guy doing the game plan. And then Stefanski comes back, the guy that's been doing it all year, and he's like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Let's just throw the ball.
I think when people play the Chiefs, they get scared. They have to score a ton of points, so they get away from their game plan. They start throwing and throwing. Well, it's like what Bob said. That's not what the Browns are good at. Baker's okay. He's average. Like, I'm not gonna say he's bad, but he's not good. I don't think.
I like his commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Commercials are good.
So, this is a little bit off topic, but still here. Actually, on the way here, I was listening to the Ringer NFL show, and one of the guys on there said the Browns can't be a contender because Baker is not on Mahomes' level, and that's who he's got to go through to get there. And I strongly disagree with that. I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but you have to have the best quarterback in the league to win a Super Bowl.
I mean, that's been proven. See, what happens is,
Terry Bradshaw.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Terry Bradshaw got benched a couple times on the way to winning Super Bowls.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
So, I mean, people. It's the biggest team game we have. Like, I mean, how many great defenses did Brady have?
All of them.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles had a good defense, and they won a couple years ago. When we won the Super Bowl in 06, 07, in the playoffs, we held people under like under 17 points a game, like 2 or 3 games in a row. Like, so I mean, Peyton needed a great defense in his second Super Bowl. Like, defenses, running games are giant factors.
Ravens when Trent Dilfer was the quarterback.
Oh, Brad Johnson won one with the Buccaneers.
Right. I mean, you can do it without a great quarterback.
For my Bears, only Super Bowl in '85.
Yeah. I mean, we
Now
just-
their offense was like
It was. Yeah, but
they
they
won.
yeah,
Yeah.
defense was probably one of the best.
they had Walter Payton and what's the quarterback's name?
Jim McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not that I'm discrediting the '85 Bears, but that was a different game.
Yeah.
I don't think you win purely on defense anymore.
Okay, I got it.
But I just don't think you have to have a top 3 quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I think as long as your quarterback is good. I think it's very hard to win a Super Bowl with a bad quarterback. Although that's been done in the past, but not recently. Not that I'm aware, unless somebody can remind me. Although the Rams almost did it. I mean,
Yeah. Although that year, Goff had like 35 touchdowns. 4,500
he did.
yards,
It was the best year of his career.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what got him the contract.
But I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that since Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, which I do agree with, that, well, unless your quarterback's as good or better than him, you can't beat him.
A lot of it has to do too with the whole rookie contract thing, because his big contract doesn't kick into this next year. So they're still playing with Mahomes on the rookie contract. So they've got money to pay a lot of people, like the Seahawks were till they paid Russell Wilson. And what have they done since they paid Russell Wilson?
Good, not great.
Right.
They watched the Legion of Boom leave.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Literally one by one.
They
So
keep
the
making
Chiefs
the
better be
playoffs,
careful.
Losing in the first round.
Well, me and Alex talked about this last night. We were talking about the Chiefs. And
Yeah, yep.
How, just like Uncle Doug said, they hurry up and paid Kelsey and Hill and Chris Jones and Mahomes, and so they have their core. But in 3 years, Tyreek's up, Kelsey's up. Kelsey gets old in a few years. He's already 31, 32. Then you have to replace all these guys. So they have a 2-3 year window here where they're going to go for it every year.
Well, they have one decision to make it after the Super Bowl. Tyrann Mathieu is a free agent.
See, I don't know how they paid everyone that they paid this last year. I don't know if they can pay him. I don't know where they found the money to pay $500 million to Mahomes, Tyreek, Kelsey, Chris Jones. All these guys got top of the line contracts for their position.
They did, but part of it goes back to what Uncle Doug said. Mahomes' contract hasn't kicked in yet.
Ah, that's true.
So because they're not it's on the books, but it doesn't kick in. So they front loaded Kelsey and Jones's contracts, and they get these big bonuses right off the bat to get a bunch of their big money off the books before Mahomes kicks in. And Mahomes is backloaded. So Mahomes, his last year, is going to make some stupid amount of money. But that being said, by the time we're 10 years down the road, quarterbacks might be making that on the regular then. Because other than when we have a pandemic, the NFL's cap goes up by $10 million every year like clockwork.
Yeah, back to the golf thing. We've all agreed golf is very good. He's making $33 million a year, something insane like that.
36.
This year, that's even worse. Literally, Mahomes' contract in a few years might be what most of what Deshaun gets in a few years, or did he resign?
Who, Watson?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Watson's just signed a new contract.
Yeah, he did.
The next new big quarterback. He's got to keep moving up.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Well, the next one will probably be Kyler Murray.
What about Lamar?
Oh, yeah.
Or Lamar. Yeah, I
Lamar-
forgot about
Lamar
Lamar.
is his son.
Lamar and Kyler Murray will probably be the next couple to come up that sign big old contracts. Unless we're forgetting somebody.
What about Dak?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are they going to pay Dak?
Okay, so I'm an Eagles fan, so this goes into dangerous territory, but I just have no faith in anything. I have no idea what the hell the Cowboys are doing. They're like, hey, let's make our running back in today's NFL the highest paid running back in football after we watched the Falcons fail with it, the Rams fail with it. Who else am I missing?
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, with the Jets fail with it. Let's go ahead and give our running back, who is holding out, who has a history of being a terrible decision maker off the field. Let's go ahead and make him the highest paid running back in the history of football. But we're going to screw around with our quarterback.
And Zeke had 2 years left. He didn't really have any leverage either.
Yeah. He's sitting in Cabo going, I'm not going to show up. Okay, go home, bro.
Now Dak has all the leverage because the Cowboys are god awful without him.
Okay, so explain that to me. Because I don't see it. I don't see how Dak has all the leverage here. Because, first off, he's coming off a pretty bad injury. And the second franchise tag is very reasonable. It's not this astronomical number, so they have that option. Second off, they weren't great without him, but they weren't winning when he was there. He was throwing for 500 yards a week, but they were losing every week. Andy Dalton won as many games this year as Dak Prescott.
Dalton actually did have a decent streak.
After he got into the offense consistently, and he came in for a game, got a concussion, missed a game, then he came back, and once he played for a couple weeks, he actually was throwing for like 280, 290 a week. They won like 3 games in a row at one point. Like he was playing not like astronomical, but he was filling in well and doing things with a team that was really hurt. Like their offensive line had a lot of injuries. But they have those crazy weapons. How many quarterbacks could go in and throw to those 3 guys?
I mean,
All of
quite
them?
a few. I mean, Dak. I mean, you're not going to re-sign any Dalton to star in your franchise.
No.
Dak's young. Dak was putting up a lot better stats than Dalton. Dalton did play well, but Dak was putting up like 35 points a game, but they were giving up like 42. He was doing really well. He was going to have insane stats this year,
He was.
and he's obviously really young. Obviously, the injury's going to hurt his athleticism probably, but what were they squabbling over? 2-3 million. He wanted like
I believe he wanted 40.
they were
And
like
they were
35.
they were like at 36 or something. They were
Okay.
at golf money.
So at this point, after you watch this season derail, after you've already they paid a ton of guys already, and some of them are already on the way down. So your window's you probably already missed it, but it's Jerry Jones. He's not going to think the window's over. So he's going to want to hurry up and win. So after this waste of the season, he's going to want to hurry up and re-sign Dak to probably whatever he wants at this point. He's going to say, screw the $4 million. You can have your $40 million. Go out and over 500 yards so we can try and win games. That's my opinion.
I think they missed the window on their offensive line.
Absolutely.
I mean, they had the best offensive line around, and now they're in a mess. And that's part of why Dalton gets concussion and Dak's hurt. And
Zeke went downhill.
yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think they've missed the window. And,
Well-
I don't know what's going to happen there.
So let me ask this, and obviously we've gone off on a tangent. We're not talking about the Super Bowl currently, but did that team underachieve? Because Dak walked in with the best running back in the league, a brick wall for an offensive line, and a competent defense. Although their secondary had some issues, but their front was very good. They had elite linebacker play, and they had a shutdown corner for a few of those years. So I guess my question is, did they not do enough during that time? Because going 9-7, every couple times, and they had the one really nice season where they were like 13-3, and they lost to the Packers in the playoffs. Is that just them underachieving, or because now you've paid the running back, you've paid the quarterback, everything gets a lot harder now, and like you said, the offensive line is old, and some of them are already retired now because the guard, I can't remember his name,
The center retired.
the center, he had to retire because
Zach
of a health problem.
Is that Martin?
Zach
Martin's the guard.
Martin's.
The
It's,
center was oh my gosh, can't remember his name.
Jeremy and Bubba are kicking me in the ass right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
but Martin's the guard.
yeah. Well, anyway, he had to retire because of a health issue.
Right.
So I guess I'm keep rambling on, but did they underachieve?
Yes. I think so.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean,
For
I think
sure.
they expected great things out of the Cowboys, and they just haven't done it.
Well, I think the problem was, like you said, how good they were when Dak came in. But then Dak was a rookie. He overachieves to get them to 13-3. But he's a rookie. He's not going to go win the Super Bowl as a rookie. Like that almost never has it ever happened. I mean, and then as he got a little better or got more experience, everyone else got worse. The defense after year 2 or 3 with Dak was not very good. The offensive line was still good. Witten got old. Dez fell off a cliff. I mean, they had Cole Beasley. I mean, so I think as he got more experience, the team got worse. So their window was there, but Dak wasn't there yet. When he got more experience, the rest of the team fell off. That makes sense?
I agree. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. Now it appears they have the opposite problem. Their defense is bad. Their offensive line is bad, but now they have a bunch of weapons.
Right. Receivers, running backs, yeah. But you got to protect him for him to get the ball to him.
I think you have to have a defense to go far in the playoffs or win a Super Bowl. That's 95% of teams that win a Super Bowl have a great defense or a good defense.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe the Chiefs is the only one I can think of off the top of my head that had a mediocre defense won the Super Bowl.
The Rams, the fastest or the
Oh, greatest
greatest show on
turf.
turf.
But you know what? They were built like you were talking about your Colts earlier.
Yeah.
They were built like the Colts. They knew how to play when they were in front. Which, with that offense, they were usually in front. And they had guys that could rush the quarterback and put pressure on them. And you didn't have to worry about them running. You could get in there and
I mean,
get it done.
Even like we talked about, Brady had great defenses. Joe Montana's 49ers were really good. They never get talked about, but they're really good. Elway's 2 championships. Denver had top 10 defenses. I mean, it's
Well, I'll put it this way. I can't remember the year, but what was the year that Peyton won his Super Bowl with the Colts?
06, 07.
06, 07. I remember somebody saying every year of Peyton's career that he's had a top 5 defense, he's won a Super Bowl, which obviously was once at that point in time. Although he had a top 5 defense the second time he won a Super Bowl as well. The real kicker is even after that, every time Brady had a top 5 defense, or not every time he had one, every time Brady won a Super Bowl, he had a top 5 defense. The difference is Brady had a top 5 defense every year.
Belichick.
Oh no, Brady. Belichick is a defensive mastermind. I mean, did you guys watch the 2 Bills?
I watched part of it.
Yes.
Essentially, what I got out of that was Belichick was the mastermind behind Parcells' defense.
I mean, yeah, he was coordinator with Lawrence Taylor and all those guys. Yeah. Even when he went with the Browns head coach, he didn't have a great success, but they had good defenses, I'm pretty sure.
So let's steer this back to the Super Bowl because we got off on some tangents there. So I apologize, but I asked Ray and Bob why they picked the Bucks. Why did the 3 of you pick the Chiefs?
I just think in today's NFL, with Mahomes and that offense, no one's really stopped them so far. The only big game they've lost was to Brady, Mahomes' first year starting, and they still scored like 35 points. Their defense makes timely plays. I don't think it's going to be like a runaway game. I think the Buccaneers have a good chance. So, like, if Brady wins the 7th Super Bowl, I'm not going to be shocked by any means. They have a good defense. Obviously, Tom Brady's playing. They have like 2 good running backs, three number 1 wide receivers, a couple of good tight ends. I mean, the Buccaneers are really good. I just think the Chiefs' offense is no one's caught up to it yet. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
I just think the Buccaneers are an experience. Like when at the NFC Championship game, Mike Evans was going to the locker room and told him, "We gotta wait for the ceremony. What ceremony?" I don't know if some of the younger players are going to be ready to play in the Super Bowl. Like some of the receivers and stuff, running back, they've never been there before. Tom Brady might be the only one. And the
And
Chiefs,
Gronk.
well, and Gronk, yeah, but Gronk's also a head case. You never know what Gronk's doing. He didn't win the Super Bowl trophies. Playing baseball. He used it as a baseball.
Hey,
So, yeah.
Gronkowski also won the 24/7 title at WrestleMania. So you can't forget about that one.
Uncle
Go
Doug?
Well, I feel like Brady is having more turnovers than he has in the past, and evidenced the 3 interceptions in the last game. And Mahomes takes advantage of those things. He's pretty special at this point. He seems to, anybody gives him an opening, he seems to take it. And I think that the Buccaneers are probably going to give him a couple openings. He'll finish it off.
Fair enough. I think I said it earlier, I do definitely think Mahomes is a guy you can't make mistakes against. Not that you can make a bunch of mistakes against Brady either. So it may be one of those things of first team to blink. You know, you come out and somebody gets a turnover, whether it's a fumble or an interception, whatever it is, that decides the game. Because I really don't see this being a blowout. I just can't picture it.
All Brady games are close. I'm not even trying to make fun of them. They are. They're all like 1-score games. Last second field goals. Last second touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, Vinatieri made a living helping Brady win Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
calling that in college. They played the Rams. I guess it's going to come down to a field goal. Adam will make it. Everybody's like, "You're crazy. They don't stand a chance against the Rams." I'm like, "We'll see."
well, they shouldn't have, but that.
I have a question. We've given Bob a hard time about Tom Brady, but I want to know how Alex feels because he hates both quarterbacks. We're not a fan of either one.
No, I don't like either one. If you'd asked me at the beginning of the football season, what's the worst case scenario for the Super Bowl, this would have been it. Because I will struggle to root for either. Although I have decided to root for the Chiefs because I'd rather see Mahomes get a second one than Brady get a 7th one. But yes, this is going to be. I considered not watching be honest. It's going to be a struggle for me. But that being said, I do. It's not like I'm sitting here going, well, they both suck. Like, I'm not an idiot. They're both great quarterbacks. But I really struggle with things. I think I mentioned it to Wade last night when we were talking. Some of the things that bother me a lot about Mahomes aren't even Mahomes' fault. It's the media coverage of Mahomes. I've listened to like 10 guys on national media over the last 2 weeks tell me if Mahomes wins this game, he's already the greatest quarterback of all time. But in the same conversation, we're going to talk about the guy he's playing. If he wins, it'll be his 7th Super Bowl, and he's got, 3 MVPs? But Mahomes, with 2 Super Bowls and 1 MVP, is already better than him.
He gets the LeBron treatment in the NFL.
Yeah.
He does.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
He
about
really
Joe
does.
Montana?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's
he's
not.
gonna be better than Joe Montana.
Or
Peyton
Peyton
Manning.
Manning, you know. There's other guys here, but my point being is like I obviously don't agree with them. I don't think you guys do either. And maybe it's just a ratings grab to say something crazy, but it's not like I just heard Skip Bayless say it or Stephen A. Smith, guys that are just saying random things to get clicks or whatever. Like I've heard like 10 or 12 guys say it, and I'm like, is this really where we're at? With Patrick Mahomes, like 2 Super Bowls and an MVP 3 years into your career makes you the greatest player of all time.
It's a good stepping stone for his career. To be better.
I got a question. Sorry.
But, you're right.
If Mahomes does win, where does he realistically then fit the all-time great quarterbacks? Or is he in there yet?
I don't start this conversation at year 3. You can win 3 MVPs and 3 championships in 3 years. I just don't start this conversation 3 years into your career. I mean, that's just my personal feelings on it. So when you ask me where does he fall, I say he hasn't entered yet.
That was one of my questions. If he's even in it.
Well, I mean, if he wins, he'll have 2 Super Bowls. So does Eli Manning.
Fair point.
And I believe we just kind of covered it. He's getting ready to enter the toughest part of his career.
True.
Like where his rookie contract is ending, and it's going to be hard for them to surround him with Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
So obviously I think he's going to continue to be great, but ask other players from past, he may never sniff the Super Bowl again. It's possible. I mean, it's very possible.
It's like Aaron Rodgers. He has seen the Super Bowl since 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true, and he's always been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's not like he went out and played like crap after that.
Well, I mean, he got paid a couple times, and he lost receivers and defensive players. He lost, the year he won, they had a great defense. They had Charles Woodson and Clay Matthews and A.J. Hawk. They had a defensive lineman, I can't remember his name, that was really good. And then, like every other case, they had to spend money on Rodgers. Woodson left. A.J. Hawk ended up leaving. They had a couple other players leave. Greg Jennings left. Like, all that. I mean, it happened to everybody.
I mean, he went back later, but Roethlisberger had that immediate success.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying Roethlisberger is or isn't anything. I'm just saying he went to Super Bowls immediately, and then didn't sniff another Super Bowl, and for what? I don't know how long, but quite a while after that.
Last was against Kurt Warner and the Cardinals, so that was kind of the way it's
Yeah, there was a big gap between them. Is what I'm saying. Is like, even Elway.
Just kind of
well.
fizzled.
In comparison to Mahomes, Roethlisberger wasn't even very good for his first Super Bowl. That defense was like one of the not the greatest defense ever, but they were very, very good. He got a top 5 defense for the first part of his career, and that's how they won the first 2 Super Bowls. He was better the second Super Bowl. That first Super Bowl, he was not very good.
Yes, they rode their defense and 2 Pro Bowl running backs, Bettis and Parker.
Yeah, it wasn't bust the first.
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
to a Super Bowl to bring this all the way back around, just like Brady did his first few Super Bowls. He rode a defense and running backs to
Running back
Super
committee,
Bowls.
I mean, they had no real big names at the time per se, but it's just a group of 3-4 guys that wouldn't turn the ball over.
Didn't Dylan
catch.
show up at some point
He
there?
was there briefly. I don't think he was there the whole time. They went to the committee thing, I think, like Bob said, after the first or
Before
second
Dylan.
one. Yeah. He was there for like, 1, maybe 2. but he got old. He got
I think
old because his prime was in Cincinnati.
Yeah, in Cincinnati. Yeah.
but the last prime year or two was with them, but then they did the committee thing after the first one or two.
But yeah, I wasn't trying to compare Roethlisberger to Mahomes as far as like throwing ability and those things earlier in their career because it just wasn't the same. But we also brought up Russell Wilson earlier. He went to 2 Super Bowls very, very quickly in his career and can't get out of the first round now after they paid him.
Wow.
And even though he's been really good,
They built their team really weird after Legion of Doom. He has no offensive line. Now he has DJ Metcalf. Before that, he just kind of had like Lockett and Baldwin, where it should have been twos, but they were his number one. Never really had a tight end. I mean, their defense sucked for the past couple of years. And he carries them to like 10, 11 wins, but then he's by himself, so he loses, obviously. Kind of like, what's our point?
yeah. Well, does you got any more questions for me about the quarterback situation? Or
I'm sure we can briefly hit on what this will do for like Andy Reid or Tom Brady if they win.
I guess I'll go. Personally, I think with Andy Reid, if he wins another one, which obviously I just picked him to do so, he quickly starts gaining ground on some big names.
I think he'll jump into the echelon of Don Shula, Bill Parcells, the lots of wins, multiple Super Bowls. He's not up to like the Walsh or Belichick level,
Yeah,
but you have that Hall of Fame. You have like there's levels to it. He hits that level, I think.
yeah, I think I agree with that.
But doesn't he have a little record? When he was with the Eagles,
The NFC Championship.
3 NFC championships hosted at home, 3 consecutive years, and then he did it with the Chiefs now. Yes.
And he also had a ton of success with a bunch of crappy quarterbacks. He had McNabb. There's a lot of years of like Kevin Kolb, Jeff Garcia. I mean, Alex Smith was okay. He's an athletic game manager. They won 10, 11, 12 games with him every year until they got Mahomes. He won a lot of games with bad quarterbacks.
He did in that, and until recently with the Chiefs, he always did it with really crappy skill position players.
Yeah, outside of like Brian Westbrook.
Yeah, like when he had the Eagles, it was for almost that entire time. It was Brian Westbrook as your running back, who is now your leading receiver as well, because you've got the 5 of us playing receiver. Todd Pinkston and Reggie Lewis and a bunch of guys we don't even know who they are. Jason Avant. Just because I'm an Eagles fan, that's the only reason I can name them. And then 1 year of TO.
Got to the Super Bowl.
And we went to the Super Bowl. Goddamn Patriots.
I've heard that. I've heard that a lot.
Want to hit on Brady?
I don't know that Brady winning again changes anything.
It's a
Like
way-
it adds to something that's already there. Nobody else is close to 6. So if he gets a 7th one, I guess it extends it. But I don't know that it actually changes any narratives or any legacy or anything like that. I mean, not that I'm taking anything away from Brady. It's just, okay, you have 6, you have 7. Is there really a big difference here? Because it's not like he's tied with somebody at 6, or even somebody's one behind him with 5. You're looking at 4, and then with a couple guys at 4, nobody at 5, and he's at 6. So I don't know that it changes anything.
It's just him pulling away from the pack.
Well, the one thing that does kind of change is, and it may just be a personal thing for him, but he can say he did it without Belichick.
That's fair.
It's kind of like when, again, I'm a Lakers fan, so I relate things back to that. But when Shaq won one without Kobe, that was a big deal for Shaq. One more championship wasn't that big a deal, but for him it was. Kobe winning the ones with Powell, he did it without Shaq. So this is kind of the thing with Belichick and Brady. Belichick's going to want to win one without him to show that. I mean, we all know that Belichick's a great defensive coach, but he's going to want to show that. And Brady wants to show he can do it without him.
I was kind of curious how Brady would do this year without Belichick.
Well, they've kind of picked it up here at the end of the year, but statistically, his year started off pretty terrible. Brady, I mean,
Picked up where he left off last year there, he was awful towards the end of the year.
and even last week throwing 3 picks and a championship game is very un-Brady.
Yeah.
I don't think Brady's the same guy. He's still good. I just don't think he's the Brady we've gotten used to watching over the last 10 years or whatever.
Kind of what I picked up on Brady this year was when they played like the Lions, he had like 5 touchdowns, like 350 yards. They played the Saints, he had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 280 yards. So, I mean, he's still at 40, 43.
Yeah.
Still good enough. He's going to beat the teams he's supposed to. He struggles a little bit more with the tougher teams, but he's obviously still getting the job done.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks of the season combined, he had 9 touchdowns, and they played the Cardinals and the Lions.
Before that, they played like the Falcons or someone, but he had like 4 touchdowns against them.
Because he ended up the year with like 40 touchdowns, but it was because those last few weeks of the season he just blew it out of the water there, which is fine. I mean, guys have been doing that for years. I mean, Breeze and Matthew Stafford have been putting up huge numbers against bad teams for years.
Yeah. I think overall, just the Brady thing, kind of like what Alex said. Everyone already has their opinion on Brady. He's either the GOAT or you hate him. He cheated. So another Super Bowl doesn't change anything. I don't really think. Honestly, that's just really everyone's opinion. You either already think he's the GOAT, which won't change, or no matter what he does, he cheated. So everyone already has their opinion set. I don't think it's Super Bowl will change.
That's fair. Anybody else got anything to add?
I think it's all been said.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap up this semi-emergency edition of Sports the Nemo Way, and we will see you again on Thursday with our regularly scheduled programming, and we will talk to you guys later.